All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the recap. Michael D'Angelo back from being sick. Thank you, Big D, for helping cover things last week. As always,
Of course.
you know how it is when you got kids. You're always
Yeah.
getting what they get.
Always getting sick, always catching whatever they catch. It's always a fun. It's the gift that keeps on giving. But glad you're feeling better. Of
Oh,
course.
no, thank
Happy
you
to
so
cover.
much. Still a little congestion here, but that's going to linger forever. That's just kind of how it goes. But yeah, no, thank you again. And we'll dive in because apparently Clash in Paris is a week away next Sunday. So that's throwing me off because they've been doing the PLEs on Saturdays. And I believe it's on a Sunday this time.
Yeah, I think it's on a Sunday because there's another event going on Saturday.
On Saturday, yeah.
I think there's a fight. I don't remember,
but yeah, so now Clash in Paris is going to be on Sunday. They're working desperately to
early
get the rest
too.
of the card filled up. Yeah, it's at start like I think 11 our time, maybe like 1 o'clock.
I think so.
Eastern.
I want to say
like 11 Mountain. I think.
Yeah, it's like it's
one of those
11 a.m. Pacific.
Shows.
It's 11 a.m. Pacific.
Okay,
so for Mountain it's gonna be 12. Yeah,
noon our time, 2 o'clock Eastern. So shall be interesting. We haven't seen Cody Rhodes, even though he is going to be competing against Drew McIntyre. He's still, there is no medical status update for Cody Rhodes.
Yeah,
but that one will continue on, which I think is funny now because they did the whole fake knee injury with Seth Rollins. I feel like they've lost.
Now we're just on edge. We're like,
is Cody actually what's actually happening with him? Because they completely lost a lot of credibility. But yeah, it felt like this week Big D was just like the mad rush to kind of get everything.
Yeah, and you know what's weird? They don't have Cody's match on the Clash in Paris.
Really?
Deal. I think they're waiting until
he's.
I think they're waiting till. Yeah, which is going to be the go home show. He'll probably pop up on Friday, and he'll. I think that's what'll happen. So.
Friday go after Drew McIntyre. Yeah, it was an odd week, but we'll dive right into it. What happened? Important stuff that happened on Monday Night Raw, Big D.
Yeah, so Raw was live from Philly. So of course, naturally, we had excuse me, we had Paul Heyman come out with Braun Breaker and the other Bronson Reed. So we have homecoming for sorry about that. Homecoming for Paul Heyman. Sorry, I'm trying to get all my thoughts together here. But yeah, homecoming for Paul Heyman. Big live crowd in Philly. They were so excited to have him back. The crowd was lit on Monday because they were just all over the place. Of course, all that talk just to lead up to a setup for the match between Braun Breaker and Jey Uso, which is going to be now an Extreme Rules match.
Extreme Rules.
Yeah, so I was excited.
The best line from this was when he was going through all the dead ECW wrestlers, and then he says Tommy Dreamer.
Tommy Dreamer. Like he's alive.
He isn't dead, but he should be. And it was
wow.
Like that one was probably the best live. But it was a very long promo to start everything up.
It was really long. It drew out for like quite some time. I don't know what they were trying to buy time for. Jey Uso eventually came out. Of course, they were going back and forth, bantering. Like I said, led to an Extreme Rules match set up for the main event. After that, we had Io Sky beating Raquel Rodriguez. Nothing really fancy there. You had, of course, Roxanne Perez there on the side trying to interfere, but didn't work. After you had Rhea Ripley come out to save Io Sky from the Judgment Day beatdown, which ruffled some feathers with Asuka and Kairi Sane, mainly Asuka. It looks like Kairi Sane's just because like in the beginning, Asuka came out backstage with Kairi Sane to apologize for their outburst and the accidental loss interference deal there. And of course, Io said, I got it. I don't need any help. I don't need anybody out there. But then Rhea comes out to help and Io's thankful. And that kind of upset Asuka. So we'll see. There's some more dissension.
Yeah, well, which I want to say, the Kabuki Warriors had already betrayed Io Sky before and turned their back on her. So this is where it's like, it's kind of odd where she's like, how dare you let her save you, but you didn't want us to. It's like she didn't ask her to come out. She just came out and she said thanks.
She just did it,
and you guys have all betrayed her before, so like this feels like a little rehash to me.
Yeah, I think I don't know what they're gonna do with this, but I mean, eventually, if it means it's gonna lead to like an Io versus Asuka match, that's actually gonna be pretty cool.
So yeah, that should be great.
I'd be happy with that.
Totally.
After that, we have Penta going up against Xavier Woods because Xavier Woods wanted payback for his hat, and Penta won, even with the interference. Yeah. And you had Penta. I like that they're getting the Mexican Destroyer over. Like they're selling it as like a devastating move because even after Xavier Woods sold it so well, but it was actually a really good match. Xavier Woods showcased because of course Xavier Woods is a great wrestler. Like he's really good at what he does. Obviously, him and Kofi wouldn't be longtime champs if they didn't. Yeah. But Woods went for the honor roll, but Penta did the Penta driver, and then Kofi Kingston put his leg on the ropes. Of course, shenanigans on the outside, and then Penta hit Xavier Woods with the Mexican Destroyer for the win. So this feud will continue because Xavier Woods sold it like he broke his neck.
Yeah.
It was actually a really good
match.
Yeah,
it was a good match. It was solid. I like the what was it where he goes cero dinero,
but yeah,
my money from my hat.
Yeah, Xavier is so good on the mic, like it's ridiculous. He is like, so good.
Just the side banter when he's fighting with him was hilarious. So like I was entertained. It was good stuff.
It was so much fun. They're always good to watch. Even like their posts on Instagram and TikTok about being in mourning and everything. And then Corey Graves going in on it too, because he had like the shirt laced over his suit, and he's just like doing commentary with the shirt just laid over his suit. That was hilarious.
Which I gotta tell you, I love having Corey Graves back on Monday night. I know it's temporary. I mean, at some point, Pat McAfee's going to be back, but
I don't know, because they might switch it over and use him more sporadically. Because I think they asked Pat McAfee what happened, and it was more a matter of just he couldn't keep up with the schedule right? Because he's also super busy. Like he's everywhere.
Well,
like
he's on Pat McAfee everything. Show. I mean, football season's back, so obviously this limits him quite a bit more. Whatever's done it to limit Pat McAfee on air, I'm totally cool with, because I love. I'm not a huge McAfee fan, but I really do enjoy Corey Graves on commentary.
Me too.
He's back where he needs to be.
I like Corey Graves. After that, we had the Judgment Day versus Mr. Iguana and Dragon Lee in a nice little match. Mr. Iguana just showcasing why everyone absolutely loved him when he debuted at Worlds Collide with WWE. Now, not debut, but now he officially debuted on the Raw roster here. Well, not Raw roster, but he actually had his first Raw match. But he did well, of course. If you missed Triple Mania, like that showdown between Finn Balor's puppet and Yeska, that was iconic. That was so good.
Which I was bummed that we didn't see Finn Balor's puppet again.
I know.
I was like, I knew it was going to be too soon. I'm like, like at that point, it would feel like they rehashed it too quickly. But I was like, kind of in the back of my head, I'm like, gosh, I hope Finn's puppet shows up, but he didn't.
Yeah, when he pulled out Yeska, I was like, oh, come on, Finn, where is he? I thought he was gonna like pull him out from somewhere. Oh, that was so good. I loved it. But that's, of course, the champions came out on top, Finn Balor and JD McDonough. Good match, great match, and lots of action. Both teams filled with high flyers and great wrestlers all together. So that was actually a really nice match to see.
And lots of interference in this one too, because
you had Dom trying to interfere. Yeah.
And then you had Vikingo show up as well.
Right. So after the match, you had Hijo de Vikingo. Because they do have a match coming up at, I think it's Worlds Collide. They're going to have another mega championship match. I have a feeling something tells me, because Dom is like super over. I don't know if when they got a chance to watch Triple Mania, like Dom was like cheered like a face. Like he was like, and everyone was booing Hijo de Vikingo. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling Dom's going to take that title.
Yeah, I think he might. I think if you were going to do it, this is the time to do it, because he couldn't be more over if he tried at this point. So it'd be nice to see. Who knows?
I agree. We had Becky Lynch taking on Natalya for the Intercontinental title, and of course, Becky Lynch retained.
Yeah.
I hit her with a disarm her. And again, Natalya does great. Natalya's such a great wrestler. I feel bad that she keeps losing, because she's such a good wrestler. But all this was all really just a setup for what came after the match, which Becky attacked, of course, her opponents. And then Nikki Bella comes out for the save. All this to lead to I'm sure it's going to be Nikki Bella versus Becky Lynch for the Women's Intercontinental title. So
yeah, and that's going to be at that's going to be at Clash in Paris, right?
Let's see, have they announced it yet? No, they have not, but I'm assuming so.
I figure it's going to be. And
I would assume so.
I will say, just as an additional note on this, Natalya, when she got released and she was on the independent scene, like she had a much better gimmick of where she was like kind of rough and tumble, kind of hard nosed,
just a raw fighter,
street fighter type. Completely abandoned all that. They were like, hey, you've done so good with that. Brought her back just as Natalya, and I started jobbing her out again.
Yeah. I'm like
wasted opportunity.
Well, because that's the gimmick she does in Triple Mania when she fought in that triple threat. Like she more aggressive, and
I'm like, why not just steer into that with her? It's like, since she's been back on the roster, it's like, oh, man, she's back to just being Italian and getting jobbed out. So that's a little bit of a bummer too. But WWE tends to They tend to do that. I mean, they've been better about it than they have in previous years, where they were letting people
Yeah.
kind of keep their music and keep their gimmicks from the independents. But now I'm starting to see little cracks where it's like you can't get yourself over kind of thing happening. Carrying
Yeah.
Cross
Yeah,
comes to
it gets
mind.
released. Poor
Yeah.
Karrion Cross. But
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. I wish they would have kept that
Yeah.
because it's so good.
Yeah. It
And
was fun.
it's
It
more
was different.
genuine for her because she is like really, really good. Like she is a straight fighter.
She's
So
good, but just doing the one of the hearts is
yeah.
like a stale for her. She's got to do something else, which is why I was really impressed with like here's a fresh take on Natalia after all these years. This is cool. And
I
yeah,
agree.
it's gone.
Maybe soon. We'll see.
Maybe.
After that, we had Naomi make an announcement. Of course, I think we all saw this coming because she missed the last week. She was supposed to defend her title and she didn't. Of course, she announces that her and Jimmy Uso are expecting their baby to be coming soon. So congratulations, of course, are in order for Naomi
Very,
and Jimmy
very
Uso.
cool. Yeah.
Which the crowd absolutely cheered her on, and very emotional for her because obviously she worked so hard to get back over in WWE. Speaking of somebody that left and then came back, she busted her ass to get where she's at, and now she finally becomes champion. You know, and I think not that she's upset about, obviously nobody's upset about pregnancies, but I think it's more of just like the work that she put in to get that title, you know, for her reign to be so short for now, because I know when she comes back, she'll be back in that picture. And I hope WWE does her right and lets her pick up where she left off, in a sense, put her back in that main event picture because she deserves to be there. So congratulations to them. That's such exciting news. It was a little awkward of an announcement personally, just because they wanted to cut to the clip, but I see why they did it after the fact because they're able to get other superstars' reactions and post them on social media. So of course you know they're proud of her. So you had Roman Reigns' reaction, you had the Jey Uso's reaction, you had everybody's reaction like come up on social media because they got to witness the news right then and there. So that was kind of cool, but.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was cool. The one thing I did appreciate about it too is that Naomi stayed in heel character even while she was doing it. Like she ran down Adam Pearce and was like kicked him out of the ring. She didn't run down the crowd, which was cool because like she was more letting them kind of give her the kudos and celebrate with her. Didn't run down the crowd, but stayed in heel form, and everyone was cheering for her the whole time. So that I thought was cool because there was a real temptation because you're breaking the fourth wall and talking about something in your personal life.
Of course.
And she obviously is, it's bittersweet. She's happy to be having a child, but she's also knows, I'm going to have to step away and relinquish my title. But she managed to stay and very tastefully do it as a heel character.
Yeah.
And that I thought was very well done.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that was so cool. She really did. And I thought that was the greatest part too, is that she was able to stick in character and do that. So that's awesome. After that, we had, main event, Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker in the Extreme Rules match, which means everybody gets to interfere.
Yeah.
Because it's Extreme
so why
Rules.
didn't everybody just come down at the beginning? Like I didn't understand why they opened and Bronson Reed wasn't out there from the get-go. It's a no DQ. Like just go out from the get-go and squash it.
Yeah, so you had interference from Bronson Reed, you had interference from LA Knight, you had interference from CM Punk, you had Seth Rollins come out, and then finally at the end, when there was the beatdown going down, Roman Reigns comes in, Jey Uso hit the splash on Braun Breaker through the table, and that's how he got the victory. Yeah, it was a good match though. It was a good match. It was just a lot of interference. Like everyone's music kept hitting, and it was just like, oh my god. Like, that's the thing too. I don't mind the interference so much. I just hate that they still hit their music and then still like walk in. Like, just run out. Like back then it used to be like, now I'm sounding like an old man, but they just used to run out. They just would just run out. You know what I mean? They'd run in through the crowd or they'd run down from the ramp and then come in. That was how they did it. They didn't like hit their music and like walk in or like whatever.
So here's my thing, and this is going to continue as we talk about SmackDown. I feel like WWE's overproducing things now, which is making it a little clunkier. So I think it's overproduction to have everybody's music need to hit, and then they need to kind of sort of walk out and sort of pose and then run. Like people just used to run down. Now it's like, oh, my friend's getting beaten up in the ring, and like Penta's doing the Penta walk. Yeah, and it's like, like get down there, man. Like, and I think
Roman too. He does his slow walk.
Does that too. Does the slow walk and then runs out.
Dude,
I'm like, dude, get down.
Your cousin's getting his ass kicked, bro. Go help him.
Well, and I think that's a byproduct of they are way overproducing this now, and now it's making it somewhat awkward. there was a spot where LA Knight came out and was fighting, and then you had to have CM Punk accidentally knock LA Knight to the table, and it looked so rehearsed and awkward when it happened because the table was out, and then he kind of bumped into LA Knight, and I looked and went like, oh, and then jumped backwards into it and crashed. And I was like, I should have just grabbed the rope and held on to it. Like it shouldn't have even knocked him into the table. So even the way that was done, everybody's kind of waiting for their spots too long, and it looks a little jinky. It doesn't look great. There was something that happened on SmackDown. We'll talk about that later too. That was a kind of a bigger faux pas that actually resulted in them having to reshoot something. Which that snuck online later, but it's just for me spending too much time on production, which is now kind of interfering with just making things look fluid.
Yeah, I agree. I've noticed that. I've noticed that as well. I don't know. Like, I get it. You know, we gotta make sure we hit our spots and all that good stuff. I think it's just hopefully over time it'll just get better once they get used to the way that they're trying to produce things, and it'll help eventually look a lot cleaner. For right now, there's just little things. And I know people are going to complain like, well, you're just nitpicking. No, it's just these are observations we're just making, and these are things that we notice as we watch. Been watching for a long time.
Yeah. Well, and there's a suspension of disbelief. It's pro wrestling. We get that. But you got to help us out a little bit here.
Yeah.
There needs to be some. I love watching Marvel movies too. I can accept that there are gods and superheroes, but still stay in your lanes. If you establish that this is how the world works, stay with it. But yeah,
continuity.
That's what we ask for. I tell you. Well, and speaking of continuity, SmackDown coming to us from Dublin, Ireland. They're doing their international tour as they head into Clash in Paris. It looks like. So
which I like that they're using Raw and SmackDown for the international shows too. Because before we would just get like a video package of like their little like pops in Europe, and I like this a lot. So.
Yeah, it's cool. They had the first ever televised show from Dublin. So that's what this was, because they've gone to Dublin many times. It's the first time Dublin's been on TV. Becky Lynch opened the show. Everybody going bananas for her. But of course, she's a heel, so she immediately had to run down the crowd. I will say that this promo went on too long. It was like going and going and going. And she was just trying to making fun of every Irish person that she could think of, making fun of Oscar Wilde and like any person that she could, to kind of run down the country. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm sure the crowd is getting a lot out of this, but I think if you're the American crowd, you're like, okay, yeah, we get it. She's making fun of all these icons, making fun of Bono, making fun of anybody that was like an Irish icon. And then, of course, she's not even on SmackDown. She's on Raw. And so then you have Tiffany Stratton come out and interrupt. And then Nia interrupted, and then they attacked Tiffany, and then Jade ran down for the save. All of this, of course, Nick Aldis is going to walk out and just say, well, everyone, now that we're here and I haven't booked a main event because I never have them booked prior to the show, main event is going to be the four of you in a tag match. And it's kind of like, Nick, really? Like you don't have your main events planned every single week.
He's using the Teddy Long manager.
He really is. You're fighting the Undertaker, player. Like that's what happens with him. But every single week he does this. So main event setup for this multi-woman tag match is kind of how it opened, and it went on. This whole thing was like 20 minutes, probably 20. The first 20 minutes of a 2-hour show. So an awful
good chunk of time.
The chunk of time, and it was mostly Becky Lynch making fun of Ireland.
And I get it, because in the beginning, I think it was hard for her to get started because the crowd was so hot for her. Like they were cheering, and I think she was just soaking it in, but she was also trying like so hard to like get back in to character. Because I mean, how could you not, right? Like I mean, you're in your home country, your hometown. Like it's just like it's hard, right? But I think it took her a minute to like recenter and refocus and like go into it. So I can understand, just because she's back home and it's the first she brought, like essentially she brought the first televised show, in her hometown. I mean, so I thought that was kind of cool. Yeah, it did go very long, but I mean, eventually sets up the main event, which we've seen before,
which was pretty short, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
So after this, we had Carmelo Hayes and Miz taking on Motor City Machine Guns. They're continue to do the Miz and Mello are kind of, they're at odds a little bit because the Miz keeps stealing wins, even though they're both on the same team. So this one kind of happened again. They're moving their way through the tag division. They beat the Motor City Machine Guns, but that's after the Miz kind of jumped in and, kind of tagged himself in and kind of stole from the work that Mello had done to get the victory. So they advance. I believe they're going on to a number one contenders match next week, is what they announced, against the Street Profits. who also won later on tonight. A lot of tag matches on SmackDown now. It's like it's mostly tag team matches.
Well, because I feel like their tag division is so stacked, like they have to make time for them. Like they have such a stacked tag division. We talked about this before, how they should probably lend some over to Raw.
They really should. They need to break it up a little bit. Because it's very, very uneven. And the fact, though, that you're going to have Miz and Mello be the ones moving into a number one contenders when you have far, far more deserving and more talented tag teams. Miz and Mello are good, but it's just kind of like, come on, there's the embarrassment of
it's a little predictable because we know, I'm pretty sure Street Profits are going to win that match, just because you have, again, the dissension between Miz and Mello, the constant force tagging themselves in. Now it's starting to become like an ego thing, and eventually it's gonna come to a head. I'm assuming. And
Mello
week.
is being a little bit more like, I got you. I understand what you're at in this match, so I feel like it's gonna be Mello's turn to kind of flip on him in the next match.
Yeah, I think so, and I think that's what's going to be the case in this one, because it's just I mean, not that it's telegraphed, but I mean it's natural. It's the natural movement of the story, right? The natural arc, I should say. But yeah, be interesting.
And then we had Charlotte Flair versus Piper Niven, because we have to continue to do this alternating between the Secret Service members and Charlotte and Alexa Bliss. This time, Piper got the win after interference from Chelsea Green. And I believe they're setting up for an actual women's tag match.
It is.
I think it's got it scheduled. Yeah, I was like,
yes,
I think
it's
they've
scheduled.
Got it officially scheduled. And it's going to be at Clash in Paris, right?
Well, they haven't. No, it's next week on SmackDown.
It's on SmackDown. Oh, that's kind of odd. Well, it's going to be next week then, and so they will officially have that match, which I can't imagine the Secret Service winning that early on, because at this point,
but if they do,
defense, right?
I will say this: if they do, I can see them holding the titles, but Chelsea's going to wear them.
Yeah, she'll wear both of them
as her own.
Maybe. I think it's too early for them to drop the titles still, but we'll see. I mean, they've been setting up
stranger things have happened.
Each other. Stranger things have totally happened. So that happened. There wasn't much to it. It was a fine match. And then after this, you had the John Cena promo that was immediately interrupted by Logan Paul. And then Logan Paul did a long promo making fun of John. And then John did a long promo making fun of Logan Paul, basically calling him a disappointment. It was all good stuff, but it just went on too long. This was another one where I was like, this went on a long time. I didn't really feel like it was necessary. He just said, Logan Paul's not an insider, or not an outsider, excuse me. He's a parasite, and just kind of made fun of him. And then they had a little dust up where John hit the.
I mean, he made valid points, let's be honest.
Yeah, he made valid points. Well, it's always good stuff from John. John Cena cuts really good promos. Obviously, he's back to being super face again, Super Cena. This just took a lot of time again. It was another very, very long promo. And then right after this, you had Drew McIntyre confronting Logan Paul backstage saying, you're scared of John Cena. And, basically you need to get him tonight. Do something. So it was kind of like telegraphed. Okay, we're going to see something. There's going to be some retribution that's going to happen. All as the setup for later, which I guess I'll call that the real main event. After this, we had Street Profits taking on the MFTs. This one was a good match also. You kept getting interference from Tala Tonga. You had Jimmy Uso. Big Jim came down and hit Tala with a couple of chair shots that he kind of no-sold afterwards. He was he was doing like this big monster heel thing, but he did manage to kind of get him get them out of the arena, so that way he's away from all the action. He's not interfering anymore. And then you had Sami Zayn appear to take out Solo. And Montez Ford hit the frog splash and ended up winning. So Street Profits did advance, even though there was a kind of a lot of interference that was happening from behalf of the MFTs. And yeah, I mean, that's where you'll have that eliminator next week, I believe, which is going to be Street Profits versus Mello and Miz. And whoever wins, that's going to be the number one contender for the tag titles. But this one was good. It was fine. It gives everybody something to do.
Yeah, it was fine. I appreciated that there's no entrance music for the Jimmy and Sami Zayn.
Yeah, they actually ran out.
So yeah, but this actually really did just set up, because Sami Zayn hit the haluva kick on Solo, so that kind of set up the U.S. title match between Sami Zayn and Solo next week on SmackDown as well.
Yep, that's right. So they're heading towards that one. I don't know if Sami's going to win. We'll see. We'll see how they do. If that feels a little too early too, maybe we'll see some interference and Sami does get the upset. We'll call it an upset, I guess, because there's too many FTs. He's going to have a bunch of people run down to help him. We'll put it that way. And I'm sure Jacob will be the final one that comes out and costs Solo. Solo ends up losing. Then you had R-Truth versus Aleister Black. Not really. So this is something that I got to get your take on this because I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. So they it was supposed to be R-Truth versus Aleister Black. Tron comes on and it's R-Truth, and they're calling him R-Truth. They're not calling him Ron Killings anymore
Yeah.
because it was the whole put respect on my name. He's back to being R-Truth again. And then he's like, I accidentally flew to Dublin, Georgia instead of Dublin, Ireland. And I was like, I thought we weren't doing like the comedy stuff anymore. I thought it was like, this is a harder, more serious R-Truth.
It was until John Cena turned face again.
Yeah.
That's what it was. So it looks like he's mimicking whatever John Cena is doing still.
Kind of. Well, and that's where I was like, because he didn't really sell it with the silliness. He was just like, whoops, my bad, flew to the wrong place. But I lined somebody else out for you. And then Damian Priest came out, and then they just scuffled for a couple of seconds. Security broke it up, and there wasn't like a match. I thought, did he get him to replace him in the match? And
I did too.
And it was like, all right.
I mean, there's a ref in the ring. I mean,
well, there was already a ref, and they did his entrance music. So I was like, I thought, hey, this is planned. It's all set up. Here's your opponent, and nope, that just gotta win. So they did a quick brawl, and then match was over. Commentary kind of moved on, and they just all kind of scrambled up and left. So this was all strange, and it does feel like, what the heck are we doing with R-Truth? Like, he came back, he had so much momentum from the crowd. They were really pushing him as, let's do him as more of a serious character. He's motivated. He's angry. You know, maybe they can put a faction around him. All that feels like completely gone now. And it feels like they're now pushing him into obscurity. And they're going like, how dare you guys make such a big deal out of this guy? So they're just slowly pulling him off of TV, and they're not really following through on things. And they're just hoping he's going to fade away, which again feels weird.
I mean, they already released him once.
Yeah.
And so he came back.
I think they're trying to work it up to it again, is what it feels like to me.
I feel like that too, because now he's not as much on TV as much anymore. But I don't know. I mean, we'll see what this. I'm curious. I'm wondering, because I noticed that there was a backstage segment. I forget with who, and they called him Ron, and he like switched, his personality switched. So I'm wondering if that's the way he's gonna go. Kind of like schizophrenic,
I guess, personality thing. I mean, that would at least be something different.
I think that's what they're doing. I have a feeling that's what they're doing. And I think this was really just to set up an eventual street match or some kind of fight between Aleister Black and Damian Priest, which I don't think they announced that for SmackDown. Maybe they did. I missed it, but I'm sure eventually it's going to come up. Maybe for WrestlePalooza, because they need matches for that now.
Yeah, because they gotta fill out a card, and it's in September.
September 20th.
September 20th. And then after this, you had Drew out for a promo on Cody. This was very promo heavy episode of SmackDown. At least half of the episode was just promo.
Yeah.
And he came out and he was like, look, nobody chastised me backstage for what I did to Cody. No one said anything to me. Cody doesn't have any friends. This one was, I will say, was my favorite moment of the night, because he did the whole Cody doesn't have any friends. And as soon as he said that, you had the camera angle set up, and then you had Randy Orton pop up behind him out of nowhere and hit the RKO out of nowhere. And it was fun, and it looked cool, and it was timed really well.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'll take a Randy Orton sighting any day of the week and twice on Sunday. So this one was my favorite thing. He just kind of hit the RKO, and that was it. But it was
the crowd went bananas when he came out.
Went great. Well, it's like, I'm thinking, Drew, how would you know not to? You should have turned around, because as soon as he started talking, the crowd went like, and I'm like, something's happening. Why are you acting like nothing's happening?
Yeah, it was a good moment. I enjoyed that moment. I think that's going to be, if Cody doesn't come back in time, who knows what's going on with him, but if he doesn't come back in time, I think it'll be a Drew and Randy Orton.
Maybe we'll get Cody on SmackDown next week saying he's expecting a big.
Yeah. Or maybe he has something else going on. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, Randy's not a bad replacement there.
Not a bad replacement.
That'll be a great match.
But yeah, we'll see how it goes. But this one was the most fun. But again, lots of promos. And then you had the main event. So it was that tag match that we got teased with earlier. And it started with about 8 minutes left in the show. I was like, this is going to be a short match. And we still got a 3-minute like picture-in-picture commercial break, which I was like,
of course, they got to pay bills, man.
I guess so. But I'm like, if you're waiting until the last possible second. You're giving 8 minutes for a tag match. Like at least it was fun, because they only had 8 minutes to work with, so it was pretty fast. They were hitting spots pretty good. And then you ended up having Nia Jax take the pin after she got the prettiest moonsault from Tiffany, followed by a frog splash from Jade. Becky kind of abandoned her, was like, yeah, whatever, and just took off. It was fine. It was just kind of left me going like, we hyped up the beginning of the show for this, and it just, for me, it just felt kind of anticlimactic. The face system just kind of beat the heels because Becky kind of threw in the towel and they kind of left. She left Nia high and dry, which makes sense because Nia did smash her face and they are mortal enemies. So like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
It was just fine for what it was. And then they didn't even use the whole 8 minutes because they still had to save time for the payoff. But what did you think of the main event? We'll put it that. We'll start
there. It was fine. I mean, it was a good match. There was a lot of action, obviously, because it was crammed into a smaller window of time. So it was a lot of back and forth, a lot of quick tags. Becky kind of leaving.
Tiffany hit the swanton at one point, right? Tiffany, right at the very beginning of the match, she hit a swanton out to both Becky and Nia on the outside. Like she was going for it.
She almost hit her head though. That was crazy. Yeah, I was like, you almost broke your neck there, buddy. But yeah, no, it was good. It was a lot of action. Again, Nia taking the pin was probably the better option because of course Tiffany wasn't going to take the pin and Becky wasn't going to take the pin. So Nia taking the pin is good because she just apparently pops up whenever she feels like it. Apparently, so. Apparently. But yeah, so I think that was fine. Jade and Tiffany Stratton eventually will be a good match again. Part 2, they got to run it back. I don't know. It did feel rushed. Like I liked it, but it did feel a little rushed. So.
Yeah, same here. And then because they were rushing to leave enough time for that last little thing, so at the end you've got
which was obvious because like John Cena just like walks out of his locker room like nothing could go wrong.
Nothing bad can go wrong. Cameras following him, and then so he's walking up, and then behind him you have Nick Aldis come over and be like, John, I've got news. I've heard from Brock Lesnar, and they're doing this weird like over the shoulder camera shot to try to like block anything from being seen. So you're like, okay, maybe the audience can't see this, but John should be able to see everything. Yeah. So you've got this like hammering on, and then you have, as he's like, I heard from Brock Lesnar, you have Logan Paul pop out from behind Nick Aldis and then like punch John, knock him out, and then run away. And then you have Nick going, Logan, what are you doing? Somebody get a medic. So I guess he hit him with the hand that has the metal plate or whatever. And then that's how it ended. And it was so oddly shot where I was like, John, he didn't get sucker punched. He punched right in the face. He's right in front of you. Like you have time to react because you had to push Nick Aldis out of the way and then hit him with the punch.
I thought he kind of came in from the side a little bit. I have to go back and rewatch it.
It was more so he came right from behind him because I watched it again and I was like, he came right from behind him, pushed Nick Aldis out of the way, and then like punched him. You would have seen him coming up from behind him too because he was down the hallway. Like the camera angle was one thing because they tried to shoot it very cinematic. Again, there's too much production happening here, and the whole thing seemed so odd. When I saw it, I was like, this is shot really strangely. And then I saw online afterwards, they were like, Logan Paul botched the original ending, and so they had to reshoot it. And so somebody had both clips on Twitter. Ooh. So I guess if you watched it in the UK, it was on Netflix and you saw it live. And live, he comes in from the side. And then he punches and completely misses.
That's the showing I saw when I rewatched
he completely whiffed, and it was like, oh, you can tell he didn't touch him at all. And then he came in from the side, and it was like, oh man, he totally whiffed on it. So because he totally whiffed on the punch and completely missed John Cena, and John Cena pretended that he got hit, they went back and reshot it for the SmackDown version that aired on USA. And so they shot it from behind so that way it would help Logan Paul. I was like, just shoot it again from the angle and just say, make a little contact. Like that's all you had to do. And so I guess in order to, because he couldn't really throw a working punch, they did that weird angle where he's right in front of him where it just looks like, and then John has to move his head. Because it
no wonder, because when I saw it, I saw it was the UK Netflix version. So I saw the original one. That's why the original.
Yeah. Okay. So that's why you saw one that was completely different. So yeah, if you have a minute, go back and watch both of them because they're shot completely differently. And when I was like, this looks really overproduced, and it looked like a punch in a movie because the way that John reacted, but it was like the punch from the front, so you can't see any connection, but it looked over the top. And I was like, this looks like it was shot for like a movie versus like a backstage wrestling thing. And then it's clearly different from what aired on the Netflix one.
I have to go back and watch that because I could say I just saw the Netflix one and I was like, that's interesting.
Yeah, and he totally misses him. He totally misses him on the Netflix one. He comes in.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was like, leave it to this guy who's supposedly him and his brother are boxers. Whiff a punch, just
absolutely whiff on it, but whiff so badly that they decided let's reshoot this and tack it on the end.
I felt it was kind of like, I don't know. I mean, I guess it is in character with Logan Paul to sucker punch somebody like that and run off like a kid. Because to me, it's like that's like a childish thing to do, but. Totally. It makes sense. It's in character, so.
Well, and I don't know. I just everything about it, like again, seemed overproduced. So this is where I go back to they are way overproducing. Like if he messed it up, he messed it up. Just let it go. Like why are you gonna like let's just shoot it and reshoot it because people have access to everything online.
Yeah,
they're gonna know you reshot it because
Yeah.
immediately people were putting the clips side by side so you could see the difference. So it was what it was, but. Yeah, apparently. So this tells me if there's an announcement from Brock Lesnar, it's going to be like, is Brock going to pop up
WrestlePalooza.
at WrestlePalooza, or is he going to pop up at Clash in Paris again at the end or something? Like
He
what
probably
are we-
will just to set up WrestlePalooza because I think they're having to schedule set up a card because I don't think they even have the show like on their.
I don't think so, and that's going to be the debut for ESPN, which is like
Yeah.
go out and spend $29.99 a month, everybody.
As if we can't go somewhere and just watch wrestling.
I know, right? I'm just saying, but that's what they're hoping everyone will do is buy a subscription. But yeah, so that was Raw and SmackDown. We've got Clash in Paris this week on Sunday, so we're gonna get kind of that final run up to finalize the card. We'll see what happens with Cody because he's been missing MIA. But as you said, I think we're gonna see him pop up on SmackDown and do something. I mean, hopefully there's nothing really wrong.
Yeah,
and
well, because right now it's not. They have what Roman versus Bronson Reed. They have John Cena versus Logan Paul, Sheamus versus Rusev in a Donnybrook match, and then the Fatal 4-Way for the title between Seth, CM Punk, Jey Uso, and LA Knight. So that's what we have so far.
That's what we have so far. Yeah. So should be good stuff. But that's what we got this week, everyone. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Leave your comments, all that good stuff, whether you agree with us, disagree with us, or just want to talk wrestling. We always love to hear from you, even when you're mean, especially when you're mean.
It's all good.
Kidding. It's all good in the hood. But that's what we got this week. Until next time, I've been Michael D'Angelo. He's been Big D Daryl Ortiz. Have a great week, everyone. See you soon.